and it's like one of those moments like zooming in on my face as I'm watching them eat this cake.
Unreal.
That's Neighbours.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many storylines. I think that is the weirdest one by far.
Hey there, it's Connor Muller and welcome to Let's Chat Showbiz. This podcast is all about Australian showbiz. We're talking the glitz, the glam, the tough times and everything in between. Let's get this show on the road. Today's guest is an Australian actor who is no stranger to both the stage and screen. Many viewers will remember him as Ned Willis on Neighbours, while theatre audiences can currently see him starring as Edward Lewis in Pretty Woman the musical. We're thrilled to welcome Ben Hall.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, you're currently starring in Pretty Woman the musical.
Yeah.
You play Edward Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
What are you most enjoying about that role?
You know what? It's nice to play a multi-millionaire, wear a suit and that sort of thing. I like how still, like the big thing with this character was all about sort of stillness and the juxtaposition between him and Vivian. So I get to do a lot of sort of quite, I suppose, filmic acting and quite still acting and trying to find interesting moments in that and that physicality and stuff, rather than use your typical music theatre high energy bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. That's been really cool.
People that aren't familiar with Pretty Woman, which I don't know who isn't because it's quite popular, but what can audiences expect coming to see the musical on stage?
Look, you get the film. If you haven't seen the film, you can still see this musical and you would know what's going on. It's not the most complex story in the world. It's, two people from very different worlds coming together, very transactional worlds coming together and falling in love over 6 days. And that's what you see. But the musical is obviously just sort of bigger, brighter, more fun. You've got all these songs by Bryan Adams, which are really cool. And it's just, I think it's just a nice place to go out to. It's nice to go to the theatre at the moment when the world is kind of falling apart a little bit. There's a lot going on. It's nice to have that nostalgic element and just enjoy yourself, and just remember what life's about, which is love and fun and joy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're playing quite a well-known role. Did you feel the pressure of jumping into that role or not really? Was there much pressure for you?
You know what's nice about this compared to some other musicals? I went and saw Back to the Future and there's a couple of other, big film musicals out at the moment, Beetlejuice and stuff like that, where I think the characters have to be really, really close to the film versions and they've been directed that way. And, so vocally it has to be bang on and physicality-wise it has to be really, really close. And that's tricky. I mean, it's nice because you can draw a lot from the film. We didn't really have that same direction from Rusty, who came out, the American director. He said, "Look, we've got the essence. You've been cast in these roles because you've already have the essence of those characters. We don't need to be like vocally exactly the same as Richard Gere. It's not a mimicry of those characters. It's just meant to have that same feel about it so that people recognize those moments from the film, but it doesn't need to be exact in those sense. So in that way, there wasn't a huge pressure. We could bring a lot of ourselves to it and other elements and sort of focus more on just what's in the script rather than just trying to, watch the film 50 times and have those moments be exactly the same. Yeah.
And you're working with an incredible cast, of course, Michelle Brazier, Samantha Jade, just to name a few there.
Yeah.
What's it been like working with those guys?
It's so much fun. We have a really good time. We all get on really well. It's one of the nicest things about this show and about any show. Like if a show works well in terms of the relationships, then it's going to work.
Yeah.
As soon as they start falling apart, everything falls apart. So yeah, I mean, Sam, incredible singer, first time doing a musical, and yet she's just such a, she always says that she's like a sponge. She picks up things really, really fast. Like it's frustrating because she's so good, like she's never done this. And she's just like, yeah, I know what to do. I can do this. I can do the choreo. I can sing this. And she barely leaves the stage. I think she has maybe one song that I sing where she's off stage, something like that. So it's massive and she just handles it so well. And then Michelle, like we were talking earlier, she's incredible. She's a massive, incredible voice, like just unreal. Like she can go all day, all night, and that thing will sound wicked. And then so funny, brings all of her comedy background to the show. it's just a really fun dynamic. And then you've got Timur Margie as well, Timur-matic, as a lot of people would know him. Like another incredible performer who has done a bunch of musicals now. And he is, consummate professional, great actor, brings a real sense of grounding to the show, his character. And he's just had a baby and he's still, banging out 8 shows a week. Like he's phenomenal. So it's a really, really beautiful dynamic that we have. And then the ensemble is incredible as well. Like we've got some just incredibly talented people. So we're lucky.
Yeah,
we're lucky.
Of course. What's your favorite number?
From a sound and an audience enjoyment perspective, Rodeo Drive, I think is just because it just rips. I think it's a really cool song just because of the accompaniment as well. Like the band sounds awesome through that, and Michelle sounds awesome through that. It's got the most sort of like freedom to do like wicked runs and all these different things. The one that I like doing the most, probably, I like You and I, which is the one in the opera. Yeah. Which is, it's kind of strange because it's sort of set up against the opera singers, like back to back with the opera singers, and Rebecca's voice and Callum's voice, both of them, incredible. They're both opera singers, like professional opera singers, both their first musical. And they sound unbelievable. And you go from that to like a rock ballad, like, it's quite strange, like it's quite jarring, but I think it works really, really well. And I love singing it, and I love sort of all the choreo there and then coming down the stairs.
Yeah.
Everything that happens in that moment is really nice.
Yeah. Now, in 2024, you toured with the Australian cast of Elvis, A Musical Revolution. Yeah. You played Sam Phillips and Frank Sinatra, is that correct?
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I really enjoyed it. Look, it was a smaller sort of scale musical, but it had never been done here. In fact, it hadn't really been done anywhere. I think there'd been one sort of workshop of it in the States, and they brought it out here. It was not dissimilar to the film, the Baz Luhrmann film. Obviously incredible music. It needed, in my opinion, probably more workshopping in terms of its actual structure. But it was a really good show in many ways, and it had some really good scenes. Again, I was working with some great people, Rob Mallet, Ian Stenlake, so really great performers. And we sort of really got to create those roles and come up with something completely new. And it was fun. It was a bumpy ride towards the end with some interesting producing. Let's put it that way. If you want to find out about that, I'm sure you can find it on the internet. But in terms of the actual show and the performance, like we really enjoyed it. We were in the same theatre here in Adelaide, which is probably my favourite theatre in the country, I reckon.
Her Majesty, yeah.
Yeah, just because, I mean, it's had that wicked reno. Oh. So it's clean and it's got great acoustics and everything works, and it's nice. So it's a nice space to be in.
Except the foyer. Foyer is tiny.
That's the foyer is tiny.
Is like
tight.
That's the
so
only
tight.
thing.
Yeah, I don't have to deal with that.
No, that's right. Not at all.
And it's a nice, when I've been in there, it's empty, and so it's like, I'm like, oh, this is so nice. What a great bar. Like, this is cool.
Now, going back to early in your career, you trained at WAAPA.
Yeah.
How did that become?
How did that come about? I at the time I was the youngest ever person to get into the music theatre course. I'm sure that's changed now, but back then they used to sort of say, go away, get some life experience, come in, and then we'll strip you down and remake you. I actually auditioned because I was looking to do the 1 year course. They had like a dip ed, I think. No, diploma of whatever arts or something like that. Yeah. But you could tick both boxes, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just tick the 3 years just in case. Anyway, somehow I got in, so that was, it was amazing. It was great, and I had a great experience there. I had a great acting teacher. I mean, everything I learned about musicals and performance, I basically learned there. It's just moved into their new facility there. I went and had a look around it when we were in Perth. It's like this multi-million-dollar amazing, like world-class, everything you could possibly ask for. But part of me was like, oh, I miss the old, ECU campus, the old campus that was out in like Mount Lawley in Perth. And it was just simple, and people would rehearse on the grass out on in the park, you know, like there's something about minimalism when you're training and things like that helps you with, you know, use your imagination and be used to coming into the industry and working with nothing, because often that is the case. I think if you, my fear for them is that they'll have everything and then they'll get out into the industry and suddenly be like, oh, it's not like this. Like usually you're working with nothing.
Of course.
But it's a fantastic institution, and you know, I think there's 6 of us from WAAPA in this show. Oh, wow. There's always a bunch of WAAPA grads in there because it's a great school.
When you were younger at school and that, did you always know that you wanted to be an actor or in this industry?
No, not really. I always enjoyed it. And mum used to sing in a church, and so I had sort of that, you know, I always used to sing growing up and things like that. But it wasn't until I was sort of in year 12. I mean, I did all the school musicals, all of that sort of stuff, and I was good at it, you know, good marks in drama and stuff like that, and music. But there was a teacher, there were a couple of teachers at my school at Aquinas in Perth who sort of said, you know, if you love this, you could give it a crack. Like, you're good enough to go and try and do this as a career. And they were probably the ones that convinced me that it was doable from that side of things. Yeah, it wasn't like when I was 4, I knew that I wanted to be, you know, like I was definitely not like that. No, I was like more practical. I was like, this is something I enjoy doing. Like, doesn't need to be my career, but I'm glad that I went down that path, because I can't find anything else that and I've tried, trust me. I've tried lots of different random jobs over the years. And there's nothing else that's quite like it.
And just on that, obviously in this industry, you can go months without work or with work, and it's very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Do you find that can be stressful at times? And how do you manage that?
Yeah. Oh, it's always stressful because you never quite know, what's coming next. That's also part of the fun of it, because you never quite know what's coming next. So sometimes it's really great. You know, something amazing crops up. I don't know many people that have like a really straight trajectory. How do you manage it? Lots of strings to your bow. I do a lot of voiceover stuff, audiobooks and you know, commercial VO stuff. In fact, one of the places I often do voiceovers is just across the road there for Nova.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with Eddie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever run into him, but in there, what else do I do? Like gigs, like just random gigs and teaching gigs and all sorts of other little bits and pieces, you know. And then I'll take on like all sorts of other random jobs. I like working with my hands, so I'll go and do like a bit of carpentry stuff, or I used to work restoring Italian furniture. I've had all sorts of random jobs.
So it's kind of making that work for yourself if it's not there as well.
Yeah, I treat those jobs as like they're the life experience stuff that you can then, you know, you'll use that in your work, and it also makes you appreciate the work when you've got it. And it's humbling, you know, if you're, you know, always working, like anything, it starts to feel like just a job, and it's not as enjoyable anymore, or there's something better, and you don't appreciate it as much. You go from serving coffees to, you know, the lead in a musical or something like that. You really appreciate that, and you work your ass off when you've got it. And so I think that's how I manage it. And like, you use the downtime to do other life things that you want to achieve, and just keep working and keep learning. And it's always tricky. And I don't know if I had kids, whether I would go like, you should definitely come into this industry. It's great, you know, it makes complete sense, and it's worthwhile. But yeah, if you love it, you love it.
Yeah, that's
doing
right.
it. No?
Yeah. Now, moving on to your screen credits, your first role on screen was in 2014. You played Private Hal Cooper in ANZAC Girls. Is that correct? Do you remember much from that?
Yeah, I do. It was a great. It was here in Adelaide. We shot here in Adelaide.
Yeah, right.
I stayed sort of somewhere north Adelaide. I drove past it the other day. I was like, oh, that's that motel I stayed in when I was shooting ANZAC Girls.
Yeah, right.
It was an awesome setup. It had some great directors, some guys that I worked with that I'm still friends with today. And it was a cool story in the sense that it was the story of nurses, you know, throughout World War I, Australian and New Zealand nurses. I mean, it was a very small role. I popped up a few times, to say a few little bits and pieces and hand over some instruments during surgeries. And, I remember we did some stuff where a bomb went off, and we all were diving. And, it was a really good experience, a really good first experience too of a set and how it worked and, what your role is in that position. Things are so varied compared to, say, musicals or doing a play or doing a film or doing a TV series, an Australian TV series or what, they're all so different. Even between, say, like Neighbours, a long-running thing and a shorter series like that. So just knowing what your role is and how you fit into that was good. And I loved it. It was good.
In 2013, you were in Warnie, which was a series based on the story of Shane Warne's life.
Yeah.
What was that like and the role you played?
When was that?
2023?
Oh, yeah, 2023. Yeah, gosh, I was going to say, I thought you said 2013. I was like, oh, gosh.
I could have said 2013.
Maybe, yeah. You know what? I'm not a huge cricket person. This is going to offend some people. Like, it's not my sport. I grew up with rugby, swimming, tennis mainly.
What about AFL?
No AFL. Okay. See, my mum's from New Zealand and my dad's from England, so it was mainly rugby union.
Yeah, okay.
Which is quite a niche sport in Australia. Really, there's not a huge, not as big as AFL or even cricket really. So doing that, I had to do a hell of a lot of research. And so we were just it was great. I went to a bunch of games, a bunch of matches. Which we're like, research. We're just going to have beers, literally sitting having beers and watching a game and what else did we do? Like just lots of reading and lots of sort of background stuff for that character. I mean, it was a tricky one because it wasn't that long after he passed away, and so there was some sort of pushback from the family originally as to whether this was going to be the right way to tell the story. Which always makes you a bit nervous. And with telemovies, especially on TV these days, there's not huge budgets for these things anymore. They're quick and they turn them around very fast and usually relatively cheaply. So it's often hard to do, say, someone's life like Warnie justice. But it was a good experience. It was, again, like directors that I've now worked with multiple times. And producers that I really trust. We had a great time doing it. I don't know if I've ever had a job that I've gone, oh, I hated that.
Yeah, right.
Not at the end anyway. I've had some jobs that I've started going, oh gosh, this is awful, or this hasn't worked out well, or there's been moments, but it's pretty rare that you leave a job going, that was just the most awful experience I've ever had.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. I didn't get to actually play any cricket on camera, but that's probably a good thing. Because I think that would have really shown my lack of skills.
You had a few scenes in one of my favourite shows, Total Control, with Deborah Mailman.
Yeah.
Do you remember filming those scenes and working with Deborah Mailman?
Yeah, of course. How you forget that? She was amazing. Again, sort of, it was a very last minute casting. Someone had got ill or got another job or something had happened where someone fell out and I'd worked with Wayne Blair before, who was one of the directors. And so he gave my agent a call and said, is he available? Can he come down and do this? And it was only, again, like 3 or 4 days, but it was such a great series that I was like, oh, I'd love to, it doesn't matter. I just want to be there. And they were with Deb and had this one nice moment in that where it was quite a dramatic moment. There'd been, I'm pretty sure it was flooding because it was up in the same areas that had floods.
Right.
Like sort of, I feel it was like northern New South Wales, Lismore region.
Yep.
God,
let's go with floods.
Really made me question that for a second. I was like, yeah. Anyway, and this character was speaking to Deb on behalf of all these people, that there wasn't enough support for the, for the town and for what had gone on there and basically gets very upset, starts crying, sort of trying to hold it together. And it was, again, because it was sort of based on a real event, you had a lot to draw on. And it's one of those moments on set where, like, they only happen very rarely, but where you kind of realize that you've managed to capture everyone and the crew are very aware that it's an important moment and they're sort of, everyone goes sort of silent, and there's an energy about a set sometimes when you feel like you're on the money. It's not always true, because after the edit sometimes it can be rubbish, but
Yeah.
but in the moment it felt really good, and that was nice. I tend to try and not watch those moments back, because I usually am I'm disappointed, because they feel so good on set that when you watch them back and you're like, oh yeah, okay, it was fine. But in the moment, it felt like the work was really good, and it was, I mean, nice to be doing that opposite Deb. Yeah, so that was that one.
You played a role in Better Man, a movie based on the story of Robbie Williams. What was that experience like?
Yeah, this is the one that I started off thinking this is the worst experience I've ever had in my career.
Right.
And ended up being one of the best experiences. It was a strange one again, because I auditioned to play Robbie. Robbie, I mean, if people haven't seen the film, was a CGI monkey. So basically like Planet of the Apes, everyone else is normal, but Robbie is a monkey.
Yeah.
And that concept came about because Michael Gracie had spoken to Robbie, and they'd said like, he felt less developed than other people. He sort of says this thing in the film where he says, after, when you become famous, you're sort of stunted. You end up staying the age that you became famous, which for him was 15. And so it always felt like this kind of unevolved human, hence a monkey. And I think there's like, performing monkey sort of elements to it as well.
Which is like crazy, but it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it got really good critical
and it won
reception.
So many awards. And
a lot of awards and stuff, particularly for the technical elements and things like that. It's a shame. Like, I think in terms of financially, it was not a success. It was so expensive to make, like 140 million, and it was privately funded. There was no studio involved. So it's a wild gamble. When you're talking about something like Rocket Man or some of those other biopics, their budgets were like 50 million. You're adding for like to be using Weta and to have all those elements. There's an extra 50 million just in having that and including that. So it was wild. It was a wild experience. But the reason it felt really strange for me and was difficult in the beginning was because I auditioned for the Robbie role. They said, look, we really loved your tapes, but we're going with a British guy. British guy ended up, don't know how much I can say about it, but he ended up not being right for the role. They ended up getting another British guy in, and they said, it was last minute. He got cast, I think, 2 weeks before filming started. And so then they called me and said, can you come in? We're going to need like a second Robbie. So when we split filming with the two different units, because often they'll have like 2 units rolling at the same time at the location so they can get everything done in a day or in the time that they have. We need a second Robbie, basically, because it's motion capture. We can just do that and then dub the voice, so we can get it twice as much done, right?
Right.
We don't know how much you'll be doing. You'll basically just have to learn the entire role, all the songs, the entire script for that role, and we'll just use you when we have to. And I was like, well, that's cool. It's a huge film. I still get to play the lead role. Yeah. And I get to see it from start to finish. So I was on set every day for the entire 3 months. It wasn't like I'd get called in.
Wow.
So at first it was like, this is going to be incredible. When I got there, no one knew what the hell was going on with what I was doing. And so they said, hey, go sit over here with these stand-ins. Stand-ins are like people that will do the lighting and the sound and all that sort of thing, I'm sure you know, before the actors step on set. So I was sitting in this, in the studios with this massive, and I had my script and I'm trying to like learn it. I'd been told, don't worry, you'll have a trailer and you'll be able to have a space to learn all the material and blah, 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 blah. Don't, sitting with the stand-ins, and I was like, okay, that's fine. Like I'm happy to be humble. I just finished on Neighbours. I'm like, cool, that's fine. I do my work here. But basically no one knew that I was actually going to be acting in this thing at some point. And so for the first like 2 weeks, I was just being a stand-in. And I was like, I'm happy to do it. After the first day, I called my agent and I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I thought I was going to be an actor on this. I'm now a stand-in. This is very odd.
Yeah.
And they were like, just give it some time. We'll call them. We'll go, we'll try and work out what's going on. It was not fun. It felt like I was like so excited to do this. And then I came in and I was like, oh, you're just going to be sitting around all day, like doing nothing, I remember very distinctly Robbie Williams was there and I went up to sort of sit. They'd done this huge stage setup where he was doing the Albert Hall performance. They'd recreated the whole Albert Hall with this massive, Robbie Williams lights, and the set must have cost, I think he said it was something like $500,000 or $1 million just to build this one set.
So real.
And they were like, Ben, can you just jump up there so we can get the lighting set up on the stage? Sure. So I'm sitting there, and then Robbie Williams comes in. Robbie comes up on the stage. And he's like, "Hello, mate. What you doing here?" Like, so said to me, and I was like, I'm just keeping your seat warm, man. And I remember like distinctly just the worst feeling, because I was like, no one knows, and he was like, all right, thanks. Yeah, I sat down. That was a terrible rendition of his accent, and I had to learn that very well, but no, that was terrible. But, I just remember distinctly being like, oh man, I like, this sucks. Like I feel really small here. And people on set don't treat you nice. There's a big hierarchy on those films. And when you're down there, you are very disposable and people don't say hello and they don't, they treat you pretty poorly. It's pretty rough. Anyway, all that to say that was the first couple of weeks. And I just kept hoping that at some point it would change, I would film something and it would be worthwhile. Eventually, one of the producers came and found me and was like, apologized, found me a room, allowed me to learn my stuff. I got called up to shoot a scene, and once I'd shot that scene, it went really well. Suddenly, everyone changed their tune.
Gave you the respect.
Yeah. And I mean, and there were certain people that had always gave me that respect. But then as soon as I'd actually shot something, everyone else who didn't know just thought, he's just another stand-in or whatever. Like so different.
Dynamic changes.
Oh man, like literally, morning, how are you, man? Well done, and you're like, I was just like, it was such a eye opener as to you treat everyone the same, treat everyone 100%. Equally, because you don't know what their job is or what's going to change or where they're going to end up.
That's right.
But anyway, I ended up shooting loads of scenes. They kept running behind, so we had to shoot more and more with the second unit. Michael Gracie was really grateful for what we ended up doing, and loads of it was in the film. Like there was a good, I don't want to give it a percentage, but there was a large chunk of stuff that I could go, oh, that's me. That's our scene. That's our sequence. That was our montage. Yeah. So that was really cool. And there was a couple of occasions where, I did this scene where they said, basically, we've got 2 takes at this because it was him trashing the house. And every item that I touched had to be scanned by Weta. And then there was all like stuff that could be breakable. So it's like this like fake glass and stuff that smashes.
Yeah, right.
And it hits him like running through the house. He's throwing stuff at the lamp. He's throwing the lamp, and then he's like smashing all his records, smashing everything in the kitchen, throws a toaster. And that sequence, they're like, look, we've only got 2 takes of this because these takes, it's like $25,000 a take because we just don't have the time to put everything, buy everything again, make them all, put it back through the Weta like camera setup so that they've got these 3D renditions of all the items that get broken, and do it. So like, we need this to work.
Pressure's on.
Yeah. And we did the first one, like really had to work up into it, and get super, I mean, this is the kind of emotional climax of the film. And it went really, really well. Like smashed it, finished the take, and it was like dead silent after I'd thrown this toaster, and I was like, I think that was great. And then all the crew started clapping, and it was awesome. And I would put that down as one of my all-time highs on set of like favorite moments, and just felt good about the work that I was doing. I didn't even say any lines. I was just smashing stuff. But yeah, so it turned out to be a great experience, and me and one of the directors and stuff were like really good friends now, and hopefully work with him again.
Yeah, wow.
Spencer. So yeah, it turned out to be a great experience. But God, it started off like I just thought, what have I got myself into?
Right.
Like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Now, there's one role that people may be very familiar with that you've played, of course. You played Ned Willis in Neighbours off and on from 2016 through to 2025. You were in over 1,000 episodes.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember getting that role?
Oh, I'm trying to remember because originally I was cast as actually I do remember. I was on set for something else. I was in a trailer. What was that? I think I was on Brock, the Peter Brock telly movie. And I was sitting in a trailer with a bunch of other boys and got a call and they said, actually my agent called me and said, you didn't get it. I'd auditioned for a role that was 3 years playing a character that they'd named John Doe. He was basically, I can't remember who played him now, but he was a priest that had lost his memory. So he rocks up in Erinsborough Hospital with no memory. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, got told he didn't get it. I was like, shame. I'd gone through the whole process and I was like, that sucks. Anyway, thanks, cool, hang up. I reckon maybe 20 minutes, half an hour later, I get another call, still sitting around on set. And he goes, hey, they've just said there's another role. It's only 3 months, not 3 years. It's a character called Ned. I'm going to send it over to you. You don't have to audition. They've offered it to you straight off the bat, but it's a very different very different role, very different character. He's a ex-bikie tattoo artist. And I was like, that's weird. I just auditioned for a priest. Like, but okay.
Yeah.
And so I had a look at his, I basically just got his character description, which was like, who he was related to, and what he did for a job and how he'd shown up in Erinsborough and sort of a very little brief outline of what he would be doing in those 3 months. So I said, yeah, that sounds cool. 3 months sounds good. Did that, had a great time. There was a really nice, good bunch of people on that show at the time. Olympia Valance, Warnie Hazel, Tim Kano was there. Just a nice bunch of people. We all got on really well, had a really good time, finished that, and I did 12 months of doing other stuff, did some plays and things, musical. Did Only Heaven Knows, and then got a call and said, do you want to come back and do 3 years? And I did. So, and at the time, we'd been bumping around, moving from city to city and sleeping in different couches and different houses and all this sort of stuff. Everything used to fit in the back of the car. And so we were like, you know what, it'd be so nice to be in one place for 3 years, earn a nice wage.
Yeah, stable job.
Yeah, just a bit of stability for a little while. And you know what, I don't regret it at all. Some people have, some people in the industry and whatnot sort of have this kind of negative view of these shows. But, and I did at drama school. I was like, I'm never going to do Home and Away and Neighbours. You do, you just think it's bad writing and, but it is one of the hardest jobs and it takes a lot of time. I don't reckon it was until I was in sort of the second year of doing it that I sort of found a really good rhythm with how it works, because we'd spend a lot of time working on the scripts and tweaking things to make sure it sort of suited the character and sounded more natural and all of that sort of stuff. These writers have to pump stuff out so quickly. And it's hard. You get 2 takes at things, and they're like, cool, moving on, it's fast. You learn how to work really, really, really fast. And you have to make relationships work and you have to, do a lot of things that you might have a lot of time on a film set. You might have a month on a film set or at least a week to prep and do and work on. And we'd do that in a day, half a day. It's so it was cool.
And you mentioned there a few people you worked with. You obviously worked with Terence Donovan as well.
Yeah.
Jackie Woodbourne, all sorts of
so
many people.
All the big ones.
Bonnie Anderson, all that. When you think of Neighbours, who comes to mind of a connection you made off screen?
Oh, Bonnie, definitely. We had a really great time when she came on the show. Again, she sort of hadn't done any TV, I don't think, before. So it was like, it's happened to me a lot in my career actually, where, you know, you get paired up with someone like, which I think makes total sense if you're a producer. It's like, okay, cool, we've got someone with a profile and a brand and a different set of skills, and then you've got like a trained actor who's gone to do, you know, 3 years at drum school. We pop them together, they can learn from each other. And so, you know, there was a lot of like early on with like learning lines and how to get that skill up, and then how things work, you know. But we had a great time. Tim Kano is another one I still keep in touch with all the time. Probably, who else do I still see? Rebecca, who played my mum. Yeah, I still keep in touch with her. And when I see Olympia or I see Warnie, like, you know, we always like have a drink together or, you know, catch up. It's really, really nice. Yeah. But everyone on there's no one that I would say like, oh, just didn't get along with at all. You know, those are the ones that I probably took away. Takaya, I still see Takaya a little bit, and Matt. Oh yeah. Yeah, all great people. Matt helped me when we bought our first place, which is one of the things you do when you're on a long-running show. You're like, quickly buy a house. I've got a contract. And we actually bought something that wasn't that far from where we were shooting, Neighbours. Yeah. He helped me like renovate, like put new windows in the house, and like, because he was a chippy beforehand. So some great friendships and some great times. We used to have a really good time. Ben Turland. That's another one that I still see regularly.
His career is just like, he's just spiraled. He's done so much stuff.
He's been doing really, really great stuff. And who else? I mean, there's everyone. There's so many.
Now, when I was doing a bit of research for this interview, there was one scene from Neighbours that I just remembered so clearly. It was the scene where with Colette Mann and Courtney Act, and you came out in like a dress, and like it was the funniest thing ever. Yep. Do you remember filming those scenes?
I do. Yeah, definitely. That's the first time I've like been in, I suppose, semi-drag and a dress.
Yeah, right.
On screen. Yeah, and on stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the one and only, first and only, maybe.
For now.
Never say never.
That's right.
It was really fun. I mean, especially with Courtney Act being, you know, like such an icon.
Yeah.
I actually thought you were going to say a different scene when you said Colette Mann, because there was also a scene where I had to come down at one stage, and Ned had an OnlyFans account.
Oh, okay. I remember the handcuffs. Didn't you get stuck to handcuffs somewhere? No?
Oh, I think that was one of the Brennan brothers. No, my character had this thing, they called it, it's quite a funny name, Fandangle.
I think I do remember that.
Fandangle, yeah. And so he was trying to do his art stuff. He was trying to do all these, you know, big artworks. He didn't have any money.
I feel like I know where this is going.
And so he started this Fandangle account, which was like these like, like an OnlyFans, but not as bad as OnlyFans. God, the storylines were crazy on these shows. Like, I'd just get them and be like, okay, that's what I'm doing. Like, you know, very funny. Anyway, starts this account, gets this crazy fan who wants him to sit on a cake, right? I mean, like, where do they come up with this stuff? So there's this scene where I'm coming down the stairs from my bedroom in the Willis house, and Rebecca and Colette were at the kitchen table, and I've got this cake box, and they're like, oh, what have you got there? And I'm trying to sneak out to put it in the bin, and they catch me and they're like, oh, it's cake or something, like bring it over, we're so hungry. They open this cake, it's like a squashed cake, like a squashed like sponge cake or something, and start eating it, and it's like one of those moments like zooming in on my face as I'm watching them eat this cake.
Unreal.
That's Neighbours.
It is.
Like, what? Yeah, I mean, there were so many storylines. I think that is the weirdest one by far. I do remember one of the producers saying to me one time, we give you all the weird storylines, because you'll just go, yeah, okay, cool, I'll give it a go. I'm like, all right.
What did you think when they invited you back to be in the last episode? What was supposed to be the last episode?
Yeah, the first last
episode, yeah.
Oh, it was really nice. I was just stoked to be back and see everyone. It's like a reunion. Actually, both times were sort of a reunion. The second time I didn't know as many people because there were so many new people. But it was it was sad. It was, it was such the end of an era. And I felt particularly sad for, like, I'd left before it was kind of fully wrapping up. So I'd sort of made my peace with it ending, and, I was ready to do other things. I felt sorry for the crew and stuff that had been there for those like 20, 30, 40 years, and some of the cast as well that had been there that long. And all the people that had just started, they were so excited, like, I've got a 3-year contract. Oh, it's ending after 12 months or 6 months, or, that's so brutal.
Yeah.
And I think was just a big shame that, something like those places, like everyone cycles through, like, Christy would come in, and Magda Zabansky would come through, and all these great actors, and it's just such a good training ground. Like
100%.
It allows you to have some freedom, and like 1,000 episodes, like you said, like it's crazy. You get to get that under the belt. You can't get that anywhere else. Even if you manage to land like a long running series in Australia. What's a long running series these days?
That's right. We don't have, Neighbours and Home and Away. Neighbours is gone. There's Home and Away, but other than that, we don't have
anything.
We don't have anything.
And if you get a big streaming show, like if you manage to land something like Off Campus, you might get 5 or 6 seasons. You might get, 2 or 3 years out of it. Maybe more. But it's pretty rare, and they're pretty few and far between, those jobs. So it's a shame that it's gone.
Yeah. Neighbours obviously has a very, very big following worldwide, in the UK as well.
Yeah.
Have you had any strange fan encounters?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Neighbours fans, love them. Love my Neighbours fans.
Yeah.
There are some oddballs out there, though. We had one in Sydney, actually. Don't know how much I can tell of this story, but we just finished a show of Pretty Woman, and we were going to Oxford Street just to have it was a Sunday night, so last show of the week.
Yeah.
We were all just going out and have a little drink and a dance.
Nice.
Stepped out of the cab, and now usually when you're traveling with like Samantha Jade, like people are like, oh, and they'll come running over and like say hi, want a photo, do the, which you expect. This time we stepped out of it, someone comes running over, and it's for me, and she was like, Ned, oh my God, Ned, it's so good to see you. Nice, so nice to meet you. Can I get a photo? I'm like, sure, whatever. Fine. Ends up like, did all that, like it's really nice. It's always lovely. Then sort of followed us into the bar that we were going to, and then would just not leave and would not stop touching. And a lot of the, good intentions. People always have good intentions. Sometimes you're just like, I know you think that we're really close, but I don't know you.
Yeah.
And you only know a very odd character that I played.
Yeah.
So you get those strange ones. And funnily enough, it's always in places where you think like, no one will recognize me here. Like, like an airport or midnight at the supermarket when you're grabbing milk or something.
Yeah.
Someone will be, and you look your worst, someone will be like, hey, it's Ned from Neighbours. And you're like, God damn it. Damn it. Not now. But you know what? Most people are really respectful, and most Aussies are really respectful. I actually haven't been to the UK since I haven't been to the UK in a long time. So, but I think it's been enough time now that no one would really be like, oh, you're Ned from Neighbours.
You never know.
But you never know. Yeah.
Was there an actor or performer growing up or early in your career that really inspired you, or you thought, or you learned a lot off of, or someone took you under their wing?
I'm trying to think. Simon Burke was on one of my first ever TV shoots on Devil's Playground. And we've stayed in touch ever since, and, love Simon. It's great guy. He really looked after me on that. Trevor Ashley, when I was on Les Mis, and Hayden T, and it's not all stuff that you learn about acting. A lot of it is learning stuff about just like how to manage in the industry and how to have a life, or how to, to have a partner and support them while you're trying to do all this stuff and travel around, and how they, how you manage that. And it's something that I try to be involved with on other shows, is like teaching anyone who is new or green or fresh, like how to how to look out for yourself. You really do have to look after yourself in this industry in terms of like contracts and how you behave and what you get involved with and who you get involved with. And there's a lot of weird little traps to fall into, and they've all been done before. So you can, you can learn, you know, and avoid them.
Now, at the end of each episode, I ask a question to ask the next guest.
Ooh.
Our last guest was actress Glenda Lynn Scott, and her question was,
what's your favourite guilty pleasure?
Oh, that's a bit saucy. I like that.
I think, you know what I love? I love it's pretty standard, a cold beer after an audition. It's one of my favourite guilty pleasures, and particularly music theatre auditions, because they tend to be high stress and like a big panel and all that sort of thing. You know, I love just going, like, I'll go straight out of whatever the room is that I've just been in, straight across the road to a pub, and I'll just sit and sort of debrief with myself.
And a beer.
And a beer.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I really like that.
Now, to put you on the spot, a question for the next guest. We don't know who it could be. It can be a question about absolutely anything.
Oh, well, let's go back to what I was just saying. What is one trap in the industry that you've seen or would advise others to avoid? You know, something like that.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah,
very interesting, because I think also in the industry, you in theatre, especially in theatre as well, you finish a show, you go get drinks, and for you, obviously, how do you maintain that healthy balance of not getting caught up in the free drinks and the free everything else? And it's often in your face.
Yeah, it's really hard. Look, I try not to drink, particularly during rehearsals and early on in a run. I just find that, you know, it's high stress. You're doing a lot more than you normally would. And then once you're into a run, I try to limit it to once a week, and you try and, you know, really just keep it to what's manageable. Some people that, like, they don't drink at all, or they limit it to like once a month or whatever. You just do need to have some limits and know where that boundary is. Some people have voices that, you know, they can drink and spring back and it's not problematic at all. Others don't. I can get away with a little bit, but not a lot. And so I tend to just try and manage it, and I tend to try and drink things that aren't going to be as detrimental. You know, there are things that are more detrimental. Wine will kill me. You know,
bubbles gets me. If I have bubbles, like,
certain things just affect the voice more. It's just about being smart and knowing when to call it, and that's really hard, and so many people struggle with it. But you just have to. Otherwise, you can't get through.
That's right. Yeah. Now, my final question for you is there anyone you think would be good on Let's Chat Showbiz?
You know, do you know Matt Verivis? He is currently in The Lion King.
Yes.
Done a lot of shows. I went to WAAPA with him. Oh, yeah. In my year. And he's had a really interesting trajectory with his career, and hasn't always just done music. He does a lot of his own gigs as well. I think he'd be a fun one to chat to, or him or Rob Mallet, another great music theatre performer who did Elvis with. You know, always push your friends.
Awesome.
That'd be good to chat.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate
no worries. Thank you. That was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you want more episodes of Let's Chat Showbiz, you can follow along on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, TikTok, and even Facebook for all you oldies. See you next time on Let's Chat Showbiz.